Hi, Sandy Wiley. Today, we're going to talk about bipolar disorder. Now, if any of you known the late, great actress Patty Duke Austin, remember the Patty Duke show where she played two people? She played cousins, identical cousins. They laugh a lot, they talk a lot. Anyway, she had bipolar disorder. In fact, I saw a movie about her and the effects of bipolar disorder, and it was very disturbing. This is a serious illness, much like borderline, but not like borderline. But I'm just saying it's a serious illness, and it's worth doing a video on. I don't know if any of you out there are bipolar or know someone who's bipolar. Me, I don't know anyone who's bipolar. I might think a couple of people I know could be, but I don't know definitively if anyone is bipolar. So, but let's go into bipolar disorder. What is it, first of all? Bipolar disorder causes ups and downs in a person's mood and energy. People have low energy moods of depression and high energy moods called mania or manic moods. So like from what I know of it, like in my own terms, like they have these two extremes, like the borderline personality disorder, like I have. But it's different, okay? When they have their lows, the bipolar people could stay in bed for hours, like a person who's clinically depressed. They could not take a shower in a week or weeks. And then when they have the opposite, like the mania, right? They could go out all day without sleeping and probably go, gamble and blow all their money in Vegas or watch these home shopping shows and eat away all their bank account or, and they're just full of energy, they're all psyched out and bubbly and excited and go, no sleep, go. They drank 12 cups of coffee, or espresso or something like that. Or what is those energy drinks? Like the bowl or whatever those energy drinks are. But then they have that opposite side where they don't want to do anything and they completely shut down and just immobilize. So just about everyone goes through ups and downs in their moods, right? That's for all of us. You don't have to be bipolar. But most of the time, mood changes do not mean a person has bipolar disorder, right? Because we all, right, I've been through mood changes, right? When something bad, like when I had a miscarriage, I went into a deep depression. I didn't leave the house. I stayed in bed all day, but I didn't have the mania. I didn't then have the other extreme and be up for days on end, excited and just uncontrollable and bursting at the seams and going out clubbing and you know what I mean? I didn't have the pendulum like that where I would be from this state to that state. As a borderline, I'm either I can't control my emotions, okay? I can get, we can be best friends and I can love you. Then you can say something to me that offends me and I don't want nothing to do with you. I hate you. Like that. But this isn't altering my state where I'm staying in bed and not showering for a week. And then from that state, I'm up for days, gambling or shopping. And, it doesn't alter the way my behavior. Or, you see what I'm saying? It just... The borderline has extreme feelings, extreme emotions. It's different than the bipolar having the depression and then the mania. See what I'm saying? Okay, so mood changes could be a sign of bipolar if they, number one, are extreme mood changes, okay? include depressed moods and manic moods. Like I told you, that mania mood where like you're like you drank like 12 cups of coffee, or drank like those energy, like a dozen of those energy drinks, like you can't sleep, like someone is pinning your eyes open, like you're so like hyper, you know what I mean? You're like you're grand and the world is awesome and you just want to keep going, you know. And then the opposite effect of the crashing, where you don't want to bathe, you don't want to eat, you just sleep all day, so it's flip flopping between those two. That's bipolar disorder. Have extreme effects on a person's energy, thinking, and behavior. Right, because of course, you know, who could live like that? I don't know. They must. I'm thinking that they definitely would need medication, because you know, I don't think that you can go from that kind of extreme, you know, without it affecting your life. Let's see. Causes big problems in a person's daily life. Yeah, like I said, how could you live like that? You know. All right. How does bipolar disorder affect people? At times, people with bipolar disorder go through depression. Like I said, that's when they got the downside of it. Other times, they go through manic moods. They may have normal moods in between. When they go through depression, people with bipolar will have sad or irritable mood that lasts for at least 2 weeks. That's a long time. Didn't know that. But I'm reading, you know, through this health service site, and that's what they say. Added to that, they may feel hopeless or worthless, feel tired, lack energy, or not get anything done. Like the dishes pile up in the sink, the dust bunnies all over the place. You know, they don't do their laundry. You know, they don't make their bed. They don't even wash themselves. Like they don't get anything done during that downtime. Feel tired, lack of energy, have trouble concentrating, have trouble sleeping, or sleep more. It could be one of the two things. Either they're sleeping like 10, 12 hours a day, or they can't sleep at all. Eat less or eat more. Either they're starving themselves or they're gouging themselves. Like, you know, all they do is, you know, stay in bed and eat all day. Not enjoy things as before. Pull away from others. That's very understandable if you're going through something like this. Have thoughts of self-harm and suicide, or wanting to die. Well, you know, the self-harm and suicide, that's part of borderline personality disorder. I don't have that symptom. You know, you don't have to be textbook example. You don't have to have every single symptom to have an illness. You know, I don't, you know, one of the classic signs of borderlines is they cut themselves. They like to cut themselves. They like to see themselves bleed. I don't understand that. I don't have that symptom, but it's a classic borderline symptom. Also, suicidal is a borderline symptom. I don't have that, you know. But there, you know, so self-harm and suicide are symptoms of a lot of mental disorders, not just bipolar or borderline personality disorder. So if you have those symptoms of self-harm and suicide, it doesn't necessarily mean you're bipolar. You have to have several, you know, like not several, like probably, I don't know, a lot, like a good amount of symptoms before they can classify you with that disorder, not just 1 or 2 or 3 of the symptoms. See what I'm saying? Let's see. Act overly silly or overly happy. When they're going through that manic mode, they can be like, oh, like, you know, joyous and bubbly and woo, ah, like that. You know, so they're overly silly, overly, you know, like nonsense and everything when they're in their high mode. Be reckless, take unsafe risks. Well, when I watched that movie, I watched it a long time ago about Patty Duke Austin. That's what she did. You know, she'd go out and she'd, like, you know, blow all the money in her bank account or buy all these useless things, you know, or have unsafe sex, you know, when they're in that manic mode. Like, they'll just get it on with anyone they met at the bar. They'll just go, yeah. So, let's see, lash out in anger. Use poor judgment, do things they shouldn't do. That's true of borderlines too. All this try risky behavior, think of themselves in inflated ways, or think they have superpowers. Isn't that a great trait of narcissistic personality disorder? Thinking like feeling inflated, thinking like you're omnipotent, right? Like you're a god or something. I mean, that's a perfect trait. That's a perfect characteristic of narcissistic personality disorder. But it's also bipolar too. Now, going through these two types of extreme moods is hard on a person, as you can imagine. It must take everything out of a person. Bipolar moods can make it harder to get along well with others. It can be a challenge to succeed at your goals. Bipolar can cloud people's judgment and lead them to take unsafe risks. It can cause problems they didn't expect and didn't intend. Some people might be more likely to self-harm or try suicide. They may drink alcohol or use drugs. That's why it matters to get the right diagnosis so you can get the right kind of treatment. Of course, they're saying there's no blood tests or medical tests to test for bipolar disorder. But they would, ask you questions and go by what you tell them. Any kind of a doctor. So treatment for this bipolar includes medicine and talk therapy. Medicine can help mood stable. I'm not a big medication person. Some people need medication, like my dad. Definitely my dad, for schizophrenia, he needed medication, even though he hated being on it. Like I told you in other videos, when I did talks about schizophrenia, it would be like walking around in a fog, because it's trying to suppress all those neurons or whatever shooting out on your brain. Now, my son has traumatic brain injury. He's on a high cocktail of all different kinds of Risperdal, Capra. He's on a cocktail of a lot of heavy medication, and he's still wired to this. He's still pretty wiry, even though he's on a cocktail. The doctor said if my son ever stopped the medication, he'd have to be institutionalized. In other words, he'd have to be locked up, probably in a straitjacket in a mental ward. Yeah, chained to a bed. So he needs the medication to live. Otherwise, he'd be an animal. He couldn't function. So, in that respect, yes, I believe in medication. If you can't function, without it, definitely, of course, you need it. But then again, like my dad, it's like kind of like getting the right kind of like dose, so you don't feel like you walk in a fog or like a cloud like my dad did. But then again, you need something to suppress, if you're schizophrenic, suppress those voices in your head all the time, it's hard, to get just the right amount. And that can change too with your weight. If your weight changes, if you drop weight, if you gain weight, that can change the effect of the medication in your system. So, and of course, therapy. What causes it? Experts think a mix of genes and stressful life events lead to bipolar disorder. Stressful life events. That's interesting, Genes and a family history of bipolar make it more likely for a person to develop it, but not everyone with a family history of bipolar will develop that condition. Going through very stressful life events may increase the chances of some people who have the genes for bipolar. So it can be a combination, like layers, you know what I mean? You already might be predisposed to have it, and then some horrific, stressful life event happens, and that can like set it off, So let me know if any of you have bipolar, if you want to. I mean, not everyone is like me and says, "Hey, hi, I'm Sandra Wiley. I have borderline personality disorder. My father was a paranoid schizophrenic. My mother was an abusive narcissistic. I mean, my son has traumatic brain injury and has the mind of a 2-year-old. I mean, I know I seem way out there, but I want to share I want to share about mental illness. So I want people to say, hey, you know, give it a face, give it a name, talk about it, not hide from it in shame, you know. I want to debunk the myth that people with mental illness, you know, aren't right. Like I was taught, they're not right. Or stay away from them. They're weird, you know, stay away. No, I want to debunk that myth, and I want to get out there and I want to put a name and a face to it. And I want to tell you that you can, even with severe mental illness, you can still lead a somewhat happy life. You know, I went on to have children. You know, I'm an author, I'm a YouTuber. I love writing. I really love it. I love doing the YouTube videos. I'm passionate about what I do. I love my children. I'm passionate about my handicapped son. I love spending time with him. Just, you know, I love to travel. I don't do a lot of traveling, but I do some traveling, you know. So I love nature, love nature. Okay. Look at my Facebook, look at my Instagram. I post, you know, a lot of pictures of a lot of places, waterfalls, woods. I mean, I love to go walking. So it can be enjoyable, you know, it can. You don't have to be cursed because you have mental illness. So that's the video on bipolar. I hope I did it justice, only because I don't know much about it, you know, and I learned more. Okay, till next time. Take care.